What's up, people? OG Soda Pop Kid coming to y'all direct down here once again. I was going to pull my car out today. It was supposed to be 71 degrees, but it ended up cloudy and raining, and it never reached 71 degrees. I wanted to pull it out, but I've been having this issue that I don't think is going to go away. Not right now, anyway. But what I'm going to do now is make sure that my stereo's working, because I haven't played it all winter long or even turned it on. I'm just going to make sure it's working because I don't have my iPod Classic in here. It's at the house. I had it on charge, and since I wasn't playing the car, you know what I mean, I just keep them at home. If you leave them down here too long, it won't stay on charge. It only stays charged for as long as you're either charging it or playing your car and it's charging it. But I need to make sure that my stuff comes on still, because it's been in the cold weather. And yeah, head unit powers up, my line drivers power up. Make sure the amps are coming on before I talk to you guys about what I want to talk to y'all about. Yeah, all the amps are on. They're got them loud ass fans. My Terra amp MD8Ks. These are the older version MD8Ks too. The newer version got double positives and double negatives in them. I've had these for over 2 years and they're still going strong. They're all working. Door speaker amps over there. My American-based VFL hybrid. Those are the 250.4s. They're still working. Everything's still working. So I just wanted to make sure everything was still working. Like I said, my iPod, and I can't be blasting it in the storage unit anyway. Every time I've tried to do that, man, I've knocked everything off the shelves and everything, so I'd have to back it out if I wanted to bang on it anyway, unless I just was playing the door speakers. So that's all good. But this is what I want to talk about right here. All right. So, ever since I've changed this electric water pump on here, people, this has been for the last 2 weeks, maybe 2.5 weeks, an ongoing pain in the ass. And I've already learned that every time you change something or go to modify something, you're going to run into some issues. Okay, and this has been backbreaking, man. Bent over, changing pulleys, changing belts, changing spacers and washers, man. An ongoing, and then there is an issue with this thing too. I'm going to have to go see my man Mike Sparing to get some bracing on this bracket, man. Some bracing. This thing needs to be braced better. Definitely needs to be braced better, man. If I'm going to leave this thing on here and use it, I'm going to have to get someone that can at least brace this. Put some crossbars on it or something to hold it in place better, because that's one of the issues. Okay? So I went back to a full wrap too, because that quarter wrap is cool when it wants to work. You know what I mean? And I technically couldn't get the belt tight enough, but the problem I'm having is a squeal and chirping all of a sudden. Okay? And that's what I've been chasing for 2 weeks. Squealing and chirping, especially at morning startup. Now, once the car is warmed up, you know, and the belt gets warm and all of that, then it'll stop. But in the morning, it's so annoying, and it just got worse and worse and worse. And I wonder why it was getting worse. And I was changing belts, going to belts that I thought was supposed to be better belts, like this Gates HD high definition belt. They're green, and I've used them in the past, and they're pretty strong belts. And then they got the RPM belt. The RPM belts are made for race car drivers, but they're supposed to be even better, but they're more expensive. Okay, that's the first thing. And I tried the Dayco. I was using Dayco. Then I even tried the Goodyear belts. They're supposed to be quieter belts. You know what I mean? But yeah, it was chirping and squealing as well. Now I haven't used the Goodyear Gatorbacks. They're made by Continental now, and they didn't have the size that I use at all. I'm like, unbelievable. And those are expensive. Those belts are expensive. You know what I mean? And so is these when you're buying them at auto parts stores. They're very expensive. Let me give you an example. I'm gonna let y'all know something. So the belt, this wrap. Well, let me say this first. The squealing and chirping. All right, I was like changing pulleys and using different kinds of pulleys. You know what I mean? From these flat pulleys right here versus the pulleys that got flanges on them. Okay. So, with that being said, when I had the manual water pump in here, like I said, it had a pulley on it. That's the electric one right there. When I had the manual one on here, it had a 6-inch pulley on it. Okay, like that, a bottom crank pulley is like 6 inches in diameter. So, the manual water pump had a 6-inch in diameter pulley. So that extra pulley was like supporting all the other pulleys. You know what I mean? It wasn't allowing no slip or nothing, because this right here, this T that I made, it has that pulley on your left that has grooves and flanges on it, and it has that flat pulley right there. They're both 3.5-inch pulleys in diameter. Okay, that flat one right there, it's 8 rib wide, and that one's 6 rib wide. So that's a 6 rib belt. But when I get flat pulleys like that, I like getting the 8 rib wide. You know what I mean? So it'll be right in the middle and all of that, and you know, it's guaranteed to stay on and not fly off unless you got stuff crooked. Okay. So with that being said, there was a matching pulley, that pulley right there. I had one the same right over here, and that belt went up under both of those and then came up. So the grooves was holding it in place, and so was that extra pulley that was like, you know, making everything steady. As soon as I removed that water pump, everything is supposed to still line up. And it some things was like a little out of whack, and it was almost like that. It was like technically wasn't really straight by like a washer off on certain pulleys. It was having it moving, like creeping off, and I would watch it creep off. Every time I fired it up and revved it, the belt would move, would try to come off of a pulley. So I had to chase that down. And then the chirping as well. That wasn't what was causing the chirping. It was doing it regardless. Okay, then I even tried some pulleys like this. See all these pulleys I got up here? I got pulleys galore, and some of them I actually don't need and could return and get my money back. Like these Gates pulleys right here. Now most of those pulleys are Dayco's. This one I'm pulling out is a Gates. This pulley right here, it has flanges on the side. Okay, so I threw a few of these in place of them to replace them, and these are 6 groove. So I threw these in to replace these two. You know what I mean? Feeling that if the belt is inside a pulley that has grooves on it, I mean, you know what I mean, flanges, it'll keep it, it'll hold it in. It'll hold it right where it's supposed to be, and it will stop the chirping and squealing. No, it didn't. It didn't stop it at all. Not a little bit. So let me put this thing on back. Let me put it on back. It didn't stop it. So I was like changing them, reconfiguring them, changing them. Then I was moving the belts that I felt that was a better belt. You know what I mean? You know, I was using the Dayco for almost 2 years with no problems with the manual water pump on it. Then it was chirping, so I blamed it on the belt. So I ordered a Goodyear belt. Okay, still squealed. Then I ordered an HD belt. Still squealed. It don't matter. It don't seem to matter. They're going to chirp or squeal regardless. Now, I have seen tutorials on YouTube where they take and they soak the belts. You know, they soak them and they put them in like a bowl or something to soak them in Armor All. for about 30 minutes or something like that, and let the belt, that armor all get in the belt, and it, lubricates the belt, and that stops. I haven't tried that yet. I might try that. But like I said, once it's warmed up and all, it doesn't do it, it doesn't. But at first it was. It's like once it was warmed up, and then when I would rev it, it would every time I revved it. And I was like, yo, man, and that would make the belt tighter. And then it would quiet down a little bit, but it was only so tight you can get these, dude. And then they'll start acting up when they're too tight. You know what I mean? I just was like, man, I did not have these issues before I changed that water pump, man. But I want this water pump on because this water pump keeps it hella cool under here. Cooler than that other one was. It keeps it cool. It just does. And there ain't no need of me going back to that, a manual water pump that was going in reverse rotation, all because it was keeping everything, quiet and straight and quiet. Now everything is straight to an extent. Now I got 8 groove pulleys on my alternators. Those are 8 groove pulleys, with ribs and flanges on them. And you can see it's stepped all the way to the front. So it's, I'm not using 2 of them, but it's stepped all the way to the front on both sides. You know what I mean? And you know how much time it takes to eyeball this kind of stuff now? And I can tell when it's off. Eyeballing tells you a whole lot. Like a lot of cats, eyeballing tells you a whole lot. It's straight. If I was to step that pulley right there, see that pulley? If I step that one spacer, so one spacer is like going one groove back, one of those grooves. A spacer is about as wide as one of those grooves, a washer. If I go one washer back and I fire this up, that belt will try to step off of that pulley. It'll start moving forward and climb up on the flange. It'll climb right up on it without a moment's notice. And you can hear it go clack, clack. You know what I mean? I'll come out and turn the car off real quick so it don't shred the belt. That's why I was shredding belts before when I was telling you it would creep off the pulley. Now, if it creeps off the smooth pulleys, it'll just ride right off of it. It'll just move forward. That's how I know the belts are not on straight. When I fire it up and then the belt moves, it starts moving forward or moving backwards. That means a pulley or two is not straight. Okay? And you see how far I have to space out those pulleys, how many washers I got. Now I was using spacers too. But the washers are wider. They're like wider in diameter. You know what I mean? I feel if it's wider in diameter, it'll lay flatter. A pulley will lay flatter against what is tightened against. You feel me? Okay. So I've got to the point, man, where when it squeals when I first fire it up, I just got to deal with it. When it's cold on a cold start, unless I do that. Or what else did I see? I seen one of those guys on YouTube take some dielectric grease as well. A few of them. They took dielectric grease and put them and wiped them in the grooves. Like they took a inch bead on one finger and like would put it like right there, and then take another inch bead and would put it like right there. You know what I mean? And then they'll like rub it in there. They'll like spread it out and fire it up, and that was stopping the squealing as well. I didn't try that yet either. I was like, I'm kind of worried if I want to put any solvents on the belt. But it was getting rid of the squeal, so I may have to do that if that's what's going to get rid of it. But like I said, once it's warmed up, it'll stop. Except sometimes when I rev it, and this is how I can tell something's off somewhere, somehow. Even though when you're looking at it, everything looks perfectly straight. All right, you see that pulley that right there, okay? You see the power steering. Every time I rev it, this is where I'm going to go to my man Mike, man, and see if he can brace this power steering, put a brace on it to hold it, because every time I rev it, that power steering pump shifts it shifts sideways. It shifts sideways, like shifting, it does this. And every time it does that, that pulley down at the belt goes like this. Right before your eyes, and sometimes when it does that, I go, doop, 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 and this belt will be tight too. It'll be tight, like tight, like tight. Let me show y'all that it's tight. Y'all probably gonna come on there and say, "You sure it's tight, Soda?" Alternator guy showed me this when you do this with these, because I used to do them like V belts. When I had V belts, I used to twist them like this. I used to do this. Twist it like this to see if it was tight. He was like, no. He was right down. He's like, you do this. Squeeze them together. You go over here and squeeze them like this. He's like, this is how you can tell it's tight by smashing them towards each other. He's like, that's how you tell when it's tight. And I was like, okay, so whenever I'm tightening it down, I'll keep doing that until I feel that it can't move. I'm like, okay, it's tight enough. But then if I fire it up and I get a loud squeal, I was like, oh, no, it needs a little bit tighter. And sometimes when it's squealing, I'll come and start screwing that down while it's running. You know, screwing down that bolt there to make that go downward. That manual tensioner that I came up with some years ago. Yeah, and I made sure it's tighter, because if I was using a spring-loaded tensioner, there'd be hell to pay. I went through that. I went through that in 2018 and most of 2018. And then, and 2019 as well. I went through it with them spring load. I would never use one of them on this car again. Nothing but problems. Nothing but problems. I'm telling you. That's why I wish Artius would have made this bracket just like his bracket. That was what was originally supposed to happen. And it would be, it'd be probably plug and play if he would have did it like that. Probably easy to remove, easy to do. I'm just telling you. But I'm trying everything in my power to deal with this bracket, man. I am so trying everything. Changing pulleys, changing belts, changing now. Other than that, okay, a lot of things with this setup, or probably any serpentine belt setup, if you wanted to go to a bigger pulley, because that's like a 4-inch pulley right there. Okay, I've tried the 3.5-inch pulley in the middle of that to tension down, and it's like that 4-inch pulley, you know what I mean, it spreads to a wider surface. So I feel that it'll tighten down better than a 3.5-inch. You know what I mean? So, you know, and I like keeping backups too. But with these pulleys here, that's a 3-inch pulley right there. Those down the bottom are 3.5s. So I can make that a 3.5. Those there are 3.5 in between there as well. And I may do that to get more tightening surface. Okay. Because they do sell, well, that pulley right there is a 3-inch one, and that one's the same kind, but it's a 3.5-inch one, and they're both 8 rib wide as well. I can, get 2 more of them and put them there. Well, of course, I'll have to get a bigger belt, and I know how that happens. That'll just make the belt an inch bigger. That's all. You know what I mean? This pulley down here, I got another hole on that plate right there, and I can move it over like a 1/2 inch. See that hole? If I move that over, that'll go a 1/2 inch bigger as well. But it don't make a difference if it's moved over or moved over there. Say the belt was too big, then I can move that over and it would make the belt tighter if I ran into that problem. You know what I mean? But I may step those up. I have done it before. I've had the 3.5s in there, but I don't have the belt, the size belt that I would need right now. But I think I might do that just to get more tightening surface of that belt. I mean, the belt period. Get more tightening surface. You know what I mean? Which I'd have to order them. Okay, now, we got that. So you guys may have suggestions on this, some of you guys. Okay, otherwise, I'm just going to have to deal with the squealing. I'm going to have to deal with it. When it first fires up into it, the belt starts to get a little hot, man. It's just annoying. man, that have to deal with that. And I never had to deal with that since 2018 and 19 when I was dealing with that with belts that wasn't. Now, like I said, you know what I mean? That belt. Now, I even tried some other things since like Friday. See those extra holes I got drilled? I drilled a hole there. I drilled a hole there, and I drilled a hole there, and I was putting pulleys there, trying to get extra pulleys in there, trying to stop the squeal, like getting it tighter, like getting more surface, belt wrapping surface. And that didn't work either. Well, I never got to use that one because I thought that I would be able to use that and put a pulley there and coming up from there, and that one just didn't work out. This one, I can throw another one of them right there, right next to it. But the belt, of course, will be longer. It'll jump all the way up. This belt size is a 1031 HD. The belt size will jump all the way up to a 12, actually a 1251, but smaller. They don't make a 1245 and a 1240, needless to say. They have a 1247, a 1251, then they go to a 1265. All right, I have a 1251 I put on there, and that belt was a little big, but I was able to tighten it down till it got tight. So I would have to use a 47. It makes the belt longer, and actually, with a pulley there, it actually supports that power steering pump. It won't let it cock to the side. But still, that still moves. That bell still jumps anyway. And it still said, chirp, chirp. I was like, well, that didn't stop the chirping. So I went back to this. I was like, why use a longer ass belt? You know what I mean? Because it went around there and it went around that, then went around, it made the wrap more surface wrap, but it ain't stopped the chirping. So I was like, well, there ain't no need in me wasting that time. So I pulled the pulley out. That's just optional. That's an optional hole there. And then that one on top, that didn't work out. I tried to make a pulley to press up against up underneath the belt, and it had grooves on it, and to see if that would stop it. No, that didn't stop it. And so I'm like, okay, man, well, this is what it is. I could just get bigger pulleys just to to get more surface in the wrap, but I'd have to go to a size 1045 belt. That's what'll have to happen. It'll be an inch. It'll go up a whole inch, which would really be a 1041, but they don't make a 1041. They make a 1040. Yeah, they make a 1040. I would get to 45 if I wanted to move that over to that side. You know what I mean? Actually, I would need a 1040, not a 1045, unless I wanted to move that over. You know, but what's that going to do? It's still going to chirp. You know what I mean? But I just figured make all the pulleys all 3.5 inch pulleys. You know, just do that at least. Just make them all the same size. You know, and the last thing I wanted to say is, okay, so these prices in auto parts stores, sometimes I gotta, realize why Jeff Bezos is so rich with Amazon. $177 billion. That's a lot of money. I'd watched on YouTube, they said if he spent $2 million a day, he wouldn't go broke. But I heard that he makes, I don't know how true this is, that he makes $75 million a day or something like, or $75 million a month or $75 million a day he makes. That's a lot of money, man. But nevertheless, when I think about it, you think about all the stuff that's returned to Amazon daily with millions and millions of people around the world to return stuff to Amazon every single day. And that's not hurting Jeff Bezos' pockets at all. He probably makes triple, if not 4 times, the money that comes back. Amazon never complains when something is sent back to them, dude. They just take it back. Because they're making so damn much money, man. It's unreal. You know what I mean? But with that being said, See that belt? That belt? This belt costs around 60, maybe 70 or more dollars at the auto parts store. This HD, this Gates high definition. Okay. All right. That Daco belt that I was using, the size of 1030, that belt's $58 in advanced auto parts. $58 for that belt. I go on Amazon and that belt's only $28. A whole $30 difference. The sad story is Amazon don't have all the sizes of belts. Sometimes they got a special order the belt. Okay. But then in Advanced Auto Parts and O'Reilly's and AutoZone, they forever got to order something. It's like nothing's never in stock. And they got to order it all the time. But nevertheless, like I said, that belt's $30 cheaper on Amazon. And the pulleys are that much cheaper. This pulley right here is $48 in Advanced Auto Parts. That pulley's only $20 on Amazon. Needless to say, they don't have that pulley in stock. That pulley's not in stock on Amazon. So if I would be forced to go to Advanced Auto Parts to buy it if I really needed it. I'd be forced to go and buy it. Forced to go and buy it. You know what I mean? Or wait a day and a half. You know what I mean? But nevertheless, you're waiting a day and a half to save all that money. That HD belt was only $25, and that should cost more than that Daco on Amazon. I ordered that off of Amazon. That belt right there would cost like $70-something in auto parts store. Nonchalantly too. They, act like that's just how it is. Unbelievable. I could see markups being $10 markups, $15 markups, but a whole 30 to $40-something markups, man. And I was in Advance and I was talking about it. I was like, yo, dude, I just found out these belts all y'all selling up here is $64, $58, $52, $49. It's just that much cheaper. They're like half the price, if not more, on Amazon. And the customer's like, yeah, but after shipping, I was like, no, that's how much it was shipped, dude. I was like, that depends, I guess, on what you're buying from Amazon. I was like, and the pulleys was cheap, was just as cheap. Unbelievable. The only thing is, you know what I mean, sending them back, when they take stuff right back, all you do is go on to the portal and, and go into returns and return it, and they'll send you a barcode, and you just take it down to Staples and just blink, and they give you, as soon as they hit that barcode, they're giving you back your money on your credit card or your debit card immediately. They'll just send you an email like, we put the money back. You know what I mean? There's advantages and disadvantages, man. As long as the belt's working, I like ordering backups. I like having backups. You know what I mean? I like having backups just in case something happens. I got backup pulleys and backup, but I am going to step up the size to 3.5s and just have all 3.5s. Have everything, synchronized, man. I have OCD. Sorry, y'all. I have it bad. All right, man. It's been a couple hours. I'm going to fire this thing up again and see how bad the chirping is. You know what I mean? And then I'll get with y'all later. OG Soda Pop Kid over and out. Peace.